Every great season has a storyline. Every championship run has its own journey. Every player who takes the field knows that they're a part of something bigger than just the next play. And this 28-day journey is no different. So before we dive into day one, let's briefly zoom out and see the big picture that we're all a part of. Because God's been telling a story since the beginning of time. From Adam to Paul, the Bible tells the same story. I just call it the cross framework. The truth is, before you were born, you were created with a God-given identity meant to keep you connected to Him and what He says is true about Himself, the people around you, and you. But we rejected that connection. We exchanged the identity that He gave us for the one that we could make for ourselves. And we do that every time that we believe something that's different from what God says is true. True about Himself, true about the world around us, and ultimately, what's true about you. So Jesus offered to restore the connection. But He did it for all of humanity, both past, present, and future. You might be wondering, well, how in the world is that possible? We see God didn't overlook the sin when it happened. He simply delayed judgment until the cross. That's what is so beautiful about the cross. It's where mercy and justice met when Jesus gave His life that day. God was 100% merciful, yet He was 100% just. And as a result, grace was born. And it was poured out on all who believe and declared that Jesus is Lord. When you surrender the lies that you've believed about Jesus, about the world around you, and ultimately yourself in exchange for God's truth, the Holy Spirit makes you new. That's what it means to be born again. You are secure in the God-given identity that you were created for since before you were born. Security isn't striving to become something. It's believing what God says about Jesus, the world around us, and you. That's what Lord means. It means that we listen to what God says, not what we think, and not what others say. And when you do that, the eyes of your heart begin to open, and you begin to see where He's sending you and why. The CR.O.S.S framework is more than an acronym. It's the story that God has been telling from the very beginning, where you were connected to Him, fully known, fully loved, before you ever took your first breath. But here's the tension. What happens when that connection feels broken? What happens when the thing that you were known for is gone? When the crowd stops cheering, when the titles disappear, and all that's left is you. For Pat McAfee, that moment came long before ESPN and the big stage.
It's what's that coming down the track? It's the meat machine in the red and black. Ain't nothing finer in the land than a drunk, obnoxious Georgia fan. Go dogs, go dogs. Give me Alabama to break.
Before he was a national TV personality, hyping up crowds on ESPN College GameDay, Pat McAfee was just a punter. But what most people forget about the West Virginia punter is he almost walked away from the game of football entirely after missing 2 critical kicks in the 2007 edition of the Backyard Brawl between the Pitt Panthers and the West Virginia Mountaineers.
He missed it. And McAfee wide left. I think that got in his head a little bit. You know, they call time.
First one wide left. I think I tried to overcompensate, missed the next one wide right.
He missed a chip shot from 20. My gosh, he missed another one. Are you kidding?
What made these 2 misses extremely difficult was many believe it kept the Mountaineers from a BCS title berth. Fans booed him, and after the game came the death threats. He flew home and nearly quit the game of football and never went back.
It was just the worst night of my entire life. Thought about maybe disappearing, never being seen again after that. I was told it by a lot of people walking by our house. I hit rock bottom, I'd say, that evening. At one point the next day, I got in my car. I kind of just drove away, was going to disappear, never come back, didn't talk to anybody.
Pat had to face a question that we all do at some point. And the question is, who am I? when what I'm known for is gone. That's the beginning of identity. It's not when you're successful, but when you're stripped or empty. That's where this begins for you too. It doesn't start with what you do for God. Rather, it starts with who are you to Him? Who are you to God? God says, before I formed you, I knew you. That means before your first win or your most recent failure, you were already chosen. Before you knew how to pretend to be someone you're not, and before you learned to protect yourself by doing what you don't really want to do, you were already known. Before you earned approval or avoided shame, you were already loved. Yet we live in a world that speaks a universal language. Prove yourself, perform, and protect your value. But God says you're already loved, you're already valuable, and you're already sent. The identity that God gave you has nothing to do with what you've done, what you've earned, or what has happened to you. Identity is what's true about you before you succeeded or failed. There's only one you. There never has been, nor will there ever be another you. You are a one of one. You see things that others don't, and you hear what others ignore. God made you that way when He formed you and gave you a name. And then He set you apart for a reason. And we won't discover that reason through any amount of success, achievement, or productivity. It's discovered when you stop striving and start listening. This is the starting point. It's who God says you are. You didn't start as a problem, you started as a plan. But from infancy came the labels: oldest, youngest, middle child, adopted, orphaned, failure, talented, not enough, outspoken, invisible, too old, too young, damaged, impressive, bossy, clumsy. You get the point. Some labels were assigned by your family. Others came from classmates or teachers. Some came from embarrassing or painful experiences. And some you just gave yourself to survive. Our brains create neural pathways to protect us. They often form beliefs, and these beliefs become these internal labels, shaping how we see ourselves and how we act, even if they're false. But none of them are your true name. God is the one who formed you, which means only He has the right to name you. He doesn't name you based on your past. He names you based on your purpose.